Hello, everyone. Today, we're exploring one of the most influential self-help books of the last decade, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a by Mark Manson. Despite its provocative title, this book is not about becoming careless or ignoring everyone around you. Instead, it's about being intentional with your attention, energy, and values. Mark Manson argues that modern society has convinced us that we should always be happy, always successful, and always improving. Social media constantly shows us perfect lives, making us feel like we're falling behind. But according to the author, the pursuit of constant positivity often creates more anxiety than happiness. His central message is simple. Life is limited. Your time, energy, and attention are limited. Therefore, choose carefully what deserves your concern.
Chapter 1. Don't try to be extraordinary. One of the first arguments in the book is surprisingly uncomfortable. We live in a culture that constantly tells us, be exceptional, be unique, be richer than everyone else, become famous. The problem is mathematical. If everyone is extraordinary, then no one is. Trying to constantly prove your greatness often leads to disappointment because reality simply doesn't work that way. The author argues that accepting your limitations is actually freeing. You don't need to be the smartest person. You don't need millions of followers. You don't need everyone's approval. You only need a meaningful life based on your own values. Question: how much of your stress comes from trying to impress people who rarely think about you?
Chapter 2. Happiness comes from solving problems. Most people believe happiness
means having no problems. Mark Manson completely disagrees. He says, life is a never-ending series of problems. The goal isn't to eliminate problems. The goal is to choose better problems. For example, a healthy relationship has problems. Starting a business has problems. Learning a new language has problems. Raising children has problems. Every worthwhile goal creates new challenges. Successful people aren't happier because they have fewer problems. They're happier because they enjoy solving meaningful problems. This changes how we think about success. Success isn't the absence of struggle. It's
choosing struggles worth enduring. Chapter 3. Choose your values carefully. One of the strongest discussions in the book is about values. According to the author, many people base their self-worth on things they cannot control. Examples include fame, popularity, expensive possessions, social media likes, other people's opinions. These are called poor values because they depend on external circumstances. Instead, the author recommends better values, such as honesty, responsibility, curiosity, learning, discipline, kindness. These values remain under your control, regardless of what happens around you. Your values determine your decisions. Your decisions determine your future.
Chapter 4. Take responsibility, even when it's not your fault. This is one of the book's
most powerful ideas. Sometimes terrible things happen that are completely outside your control. You may lose a job. You may experience betrayal. You may face illness. None of these situations are necessarily your fault, but according to the author, they are still your responsibility to respond to. This doesn't mean blaming yourself. It means recognizing that your reaction remains your choice. Two people can experience the same hardship. One becomes bitter. The other becomes wiser. The difference lies in responsibility. Question: the next time life becomes unfair, will you spend your energy asking, why me? Or asking, what can I do now? Chapter 5. Failure is the path to growth. Modern culture often celebrates success while hiding failure. But every successful entrepreneur, every great athlete, every respected scientist has failed repeatedly. The author argues that failure provides information. It tells you what doesn't work. Without mistakes, there is no improvement. Psychologists often describe learning as a process of trial and error. Children learn to walk by falling hundreds of times. Adults often forget this principle. They fear failure so much that they stop trying. Ironically, avoiding failure often guarantees mediocrity.
Chapter 6. Learn to say no. Many people believe saying yes creates opportunities. Sometimes it does. But saying yes to everything creates another problem. You become overwhelmed. Your schedule becomes crowded. Your priorities disappear. The author argues that every meaningful yes requires many meaningful no's. Time is finite. Attention is finite. Energy is finite. Protect them carefully. Every commitment carries an opportunity cost. When you say yes to one thing, you're automatically saying no to something else.
Chapter 7. Certainty can be dangerous. One of the book's most interesting arguments is that certainty creates closed-mindedness. People often defend beliefs simply because they don't want to admit they could be wrong. The author encourages intellectual humility. Instead of saying, "I already know," ask, "What if I'm mistaken?" Growth begins where certainty ends. The smartest people continue asking questions long after they've become experts. Chapter 8. Death gives life meaning. Perhaps the deepest chapter discusses mortality. Many people avoid thinking about death. Mark Manson argues the opposite. Awareness of death makes life more meaningful. Because life is limited, every decision matters. Every hour matters. Every relationship matters. If we lived forever, nothing would feel urgent. Nothing would feel precious. Accepting mortality helps us focus on what truly matters, instead of wasting years chasing approval.
Key lessons from the book. Lesson 1. Stop trying to please everyone. You never will. Lesson 2. Choose meaningful struggles instead of avoiding all difficulties. Lesson 3. Measure success by your values, not by comparison with others. Lesson 4. Take responsibility for your responses, even when life is unfair. Lesson 5. Failure is education, not evidence of inadequacy.
Critical discussion. One reason this book became so popular is that it challenges many traditional self-help messages. Instead of saying, "Believe you can do anything," the author says, "Accept your limits and focus on what truly matters." Instead of "always think positively," he suggests, "Face uncomfortable truths honestly." Some readers appreciate this realistic approach because it reduces unnecessary pressure. Others argue that the book occasionally oversimplifies complex emotional or mental health challenges, and its advice may not apply equally to every situation. Still, its central philosophy
Remains valuable. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can decide what deserves your emotional investment. Final thoughts. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is ultimately a book about clarity, responsibility, and intentional living.
It reminds us that a meaningful life isn't built by avoiding pain, chasing perfection, or seeking everyone's approval. Instead, it's built by choosing values that matter, accepting life's inevitable struggles, and investing your limited time and energy in the people and goals that truly deserve them. So, as you finish this summary, ask yourself one final question. What am I giving my attention to today that simply doesn't deserve it? Thank you for listening. If you found this summary valuable, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from these ideas. And remember, sometimes the most powerful change begins by caring less about what doesn't matter so you can care more about what truly does.